Man, will I be glad if this is finally done. With less money, less problems. Oh yeah, he cast darkness. Now it's dark forever. We will never see the sun again in this messed up world. Man, I still remember how I was rolling around on the ground laughing as I saw this message, because all this time I had planned and tried to save enough death gems to cast the spell to give my undead armies a little bit extra oomph on the battlefield, so to speak. I just wanted to fuck up the world with eternal darkness so bad. And then Bogarus goes and casts the spell for me, and apparently with a lot of extra gems, because until the very end we never got to dispel this spell. So from now on, for the entire rest of the game, there will be eternal darkness forever. And even though it would have probably been better if he casted the Kugeltons later, so I could still have money to recruit more priests and so on and stuff. Still, since I'm using gems to summon undead, both mages and normal units, I'm basically... well, I still have troops, can summon more troops, so I'm not really affected by this. And oh, special monsters attack. Ah yes, some dark evil shadow hounds. Shade beasts, exactly. They're kind of neat. They're hard to hit thanks to being ethereal. And if they kill something, it will rise up again as some kind of undead horror. So if you have large numbers of shade beasts, they're great. In this case, however, it's just the effect of the Darkness Global sending some of them in, and our province defense can easily deal with them. So what to do this time? For Pangea, of course, this is basically instant death. As you can see, my total income went down from over 20k gold to 2k gold, which is about a fifth of what I need to support my armies everywhere. So from now on we will have 0 gold income per turn. On every turn some of my living units and commanders will desert. And since I stopped caring about them a couple turns ago, this is really not my problem really. But wow, yeah, Utter Dark is a rather expensive spell. 100 death gems alone to cast it. And if you don't want it dispelled easily, you're looking at several hundred death gems, and I'm guessing this is what Remk, the player of Bogarus, has done. Because as I said, we just left the global up and hoped for the best. Now, Gav has tons of vampires and other demonic shit, so he doesn't really need to care either. I'm hurt a little bit because my odd hybrid nation theoretically would need money to get more mages and stuff, but luckily my plans have grown enough, so I have enough income in gems to keep my undead machine running. From now on I will use my death gems to summon death mages and my air gems to summon minions for them to command. And my first giant death army is soon to be ready to march, and I still have tons of normal units, and now I can waste their lives with even more abandon, since... oh, that's all still okay, yeah? Because, well, they're just using up my money now, and the more of them die, the better. it's from a certain viewpoint even better if Bulgaris can mind control Kupel 100 again, because in this case the money needed to support those units is just transferred from me to him, which means that he loses the money I gain. But of course Bulgaris also has tons of blood and stuff. So basically this is now 3 magic nations clashing their magic together, since their normal units are basically withering and dying everywhere. Pangaea of course has the least amount of blood from us all. Well, I'm guessing he still has a little bit more than me, since I completely ignored blood in this game and concentrated off trying to keep my undeads up, which basically, well, let me try to explain. Blood in Dominions 4 is absolutely overpowered. You can do so much incredibly nasty shit that's impossible to ignore. You can get, for example, tons and share of vampires, and vampires with their super abilities like flying, attacking, regenerating, being hard to kill, and being immortal, which means if you kill a bunch of them and they are still in their own dominion, they just get transferred back to their capital and shower up there. Then you can't send them in again. The same, of course, is for commanders and vampire lords and stuff. They're also immortal, so even if you kill those strong death mages, they'll just show up again, which is kind of nasty if you think about it, since if you have enough population to kill to get your blood slaves, and as long as you have that population, you can very slowly overpower everyone. There are even other nasty units like storm demons, who can rain down storm like little mini mages on a battlefield, and if you have enough blood and air mages to summon them, then your enemy soon sees an insurmountable wave of those guys, and let's say from experience that is not something you want to face in battle. Anyway, ironically, I'm trying to do something very similar here, because the liches I plan to summon soon are also immortal units, and if they get killed, they'll just show up at the place where they got summoned. And of course, this means we may have to be careful as soon as we step outside of our own dominion, since we can't just use blood priests to push our own dominion aggressively. We just have to hope that the priests we had recruited up to this point, and my pretender got down south here, can spread dominion fast enough for our liches to survive if a major battle occurs. So anyway, you saw in the messages we lost a major battle, probably thanks to some magic shenanigans, but I have still tons of armies just sitting around here. So I try to move them to the front and try to continue my offensive. And over all this, I keep forgetting that I wanted to visit Pangaea on the east. At this point, Pangaea has completely checked out, but back then I completely missed the point when Pangaea checked out, so I couldn't really do anything. I just noticed at one point that Garth was invading Pangaea, and Pangaea wasn't really doing anything, so I put 2 and 2 together and invaded 2. Far too late, of course, which eventually cost me the game. But well, it's river over the waters, or whoever that phrase girl went. Right now, I still face the incredibly tedious work of putting my armies together to reinforce other armies who were supposed to reinforce even other armies long dead and gone. Yeah, well, at this point I really was glad that I was slowly changing to gem-based units, because holy fucking shit was this annoying, and most undeads are quite similar. They are just, well, either walking skeletons or walking corpses, and the best way to use them is to just have a whole bunch of them and then let them slowly walk forward until every enemy is dead. No fancy positioning, no other shit. You have just those huge blocks of undead monsters and you set them to attack, and that's it. I think the most fancy thing I did was setting some blocks of hold and attack, so they would wait a bit, and others to immediately attack to try and get enemy units caught in the middle and surrounded, which would mean that when they inevitably broke, it would be impossible for most of them to get away. But I don't even know if that was in this game or another one. Well, let's see if he can get surprised. So, looks like the work for this turn is mostly about halfway done. Of course, now that we have 0 income, all this clutter will soon clear up, since I can't recruit more units or more commanders. So what you're seeing here is the last bit of heavy work I will have to do this game. After that it's just summoning and coordinating undead units. And there's a giant army of Gav up there. It's a dire warning that Pangaea will soon cease to exist as a power in this game. And of course, hindsight being 2020, I completely ignored this. Here you will see me even shoveling troops back to the front from that border fortress near Pangaea, which will bite me even more in the ass later. But well, who knows, if I hadn't concentrated everything on Bogarus, maybe Bogarus wouldn't have lost. I mean, against me and Gav. He was losing pretty badly against Gav already. I was at this point just basically preventing him from slowing down Gav a couple more dozen turns or something. All those red troop movements. My army underwater is growing day by day, and if it weren't for Pangaea nominally still being my ally, I would have already attacked and taken over the water, since I think it's particularly threatening to have him all around me in the south. Of course, until the very last moment I was trying to get him to speak to us to see if he even wanted to continue to play. But on all accounts, Gav was faster and noticed far earlier that Pangaea was mentally checked out. Well, I think I've used mentally checked out or a similar phrase far too often during this and the last couple videos, but well, that's spilled milk and so on. So what can I say here? Well, one thing that I'm noticing is that I have a sizable nature income, which is kind of funny, because the only nature mages I have are those astral lizards, and I need them for their capability of casting astral spells, and nothing else. But I guess I got a lot of mileage from their nature capabilities, since if you remember from my earlier videos, I was forging tons of stealth stuff to give it to my Raven Lords and then have them stealthily transport little armies into Bogaros territory. Something which can work really well in a normal game. In this gimmick game with everyone being filthy rich, until very recently we can just dial up province defense to ludicrous numbers and every one of those little attack guys just got slaughtered as soon as they got detected. Really bad. And just so I have 18 blood slaves. Kind of funny. I think I have 0 blood mages at this point, so I guess that's just a result of slowly getting them via events over the course of our now over 90 turns. And here I have a Crystal Mage, a level 4 Crystal Mage, thanks to this shiny star skull cap. And oh, I completely missed this, but apparently we got another fortress. We smashed the defenders. And of course, because I'm a stupid asshole, I completely forgot to show you the battle where this happened. Well, too bad. Hopefully we get some more interesting battles in future turns. And hopefully I will this time remember to actually record the battles, instead of suddenly being surprised that we have another fortress gained somewhere. Well, strategically there's only this one in the middle left over, of course, and then I move the map back to north, back round. We're slowly getting through this choke point. I think at one point I've given Gav basically that our fortress to the north of this throne in the middle, simply because I didn't want to waste any more time trying to get this not very important fortress, and instead try to move farther west, closer to the capital of Bogarus. Even though at the point where Bogarus and I trading armies, it was slowly getting clear that Gav would take Bogarus itself long before I could get there. So my strategic goal for the near future then shifted to getting Ulm. Ulm, Fantasy Germany, was a nation long gone at this point, and I saw that Bogarus still had the capital province of Ulm. It's somewhere around here, I think. And I wanted that, since with Mictlan and Jomon I already had 2 other capitals, and I wanted another one. And since I couldn't get Bogarus fast enough, this meant I was trying to get Ulm instead. And wow, it was long enough in the past I can't even remember if I succeeded. Well, there's still some more turns to speak over, and then there's the last batch of turns. I already made commentary, I guess. If I reconstruct them, that will be funny to see. I looked those old recordings over, and apparently I used a different resolution for every second recording, so it will be interesting to see what happens to those recordings when I'm rendering them for upload. Well, anyway, enough of that shit. I have some strong super demons on my side, tons of mages and undeads, and of course my hopefully soon dead units. I'm planning to kill as many of my own units as possible in the near future, simply to get to the point where I will have at least a little bit income, to gain some more priests to stop Gav from destroying my dominion, and of course to push my own down here in the south. Funny thing of those strategic plans, well, of course they assumed the game running for 100 turns more or something, which was of course completely stupid. But that's me. I'm always tend to make really long-winded plans, spanning hundreds of turns into the future, even though most games tend to be over long before I can execute any of that shit. At this point I'm fairly glad to see my undead engine slowly getting up and running, and I have already prepared my overgrown Chambalo Pinfeather, my Raven Pretender, for some nasty shit I was planning to do to Borgarus in the future. Now we are getting really close to that. We are already at the point where Eternal Darkness swallowed the world, giving undead units and the demons, I think, even a little bonus. Not just that it does nothing. At least, well, some units and demons get a bonus in darkness. Most just don't give a shit, whereas living units are just plain fucked. I guess I'm a little better at that point because my units, even though they are now incredibly shit, they can at least fly and be nice blockers. And hopefully Borgarus will be nice enough to mind control a couple thousand from them away, so that he will gain the shitty, easily killed units I don't need anymore. It's also easier because if you have a completely undead army, you can easily use spells killing and maiming living units without having to take into account your own living units anymore. And with this rambling sentence, I've finished this turn. Until next time, Lipluini out.